Hey everybody, welcome to the PC Perspective Podcast. This is episode 329, being recorded on December 10th, 2014. I'm Ryan Shrout.
I'm Josh Walrath.
And I'm Alan Malmontano.
We are Canadian-less on the podcast today. Jeremy is out for a secondary company party, which he somehow decided that he would choose over coming here to talk
Christmas?
about...
Canadians don't celebrate Christmas.
They do
Their Christmas is a month early.
Yeah.
Is it? I was going to ask. Like, they do Christmas like the same way over there?
No, it's a month early, like their Thanksgiving.
Yeah, it's like Boxing Day,
Yeah.
where they put all the empty cardboard boxes out for recycling that they've collected through the year.
Cash.
That's a thing too?
And
cache.
They turn it in for cache.
It's cache.
And they
Memory.
all run Linux. I don't know. So Jeremy's not here, so we're going to make fun of him a little bit.
He's trapped in his niche.
Right. He actually does take, we'll give him crap for it next week, but he takes these extended holiday vacations where he goes ice fishing on snowmobiles. And I'm not even really making that up.
And to drink beer.
Well, of course.
Yes.
Yeah, but the ice fishing on snowmobiles is what makes it extra Canadian, I think. So... So I wasn't here last week, but that doesn't mean jack. So we're going to go ahead and jump into this week's show.
Are you sure you don't want to talk for about 18 minutes beforehand? And then we can record that on YouTube?
No, this time we're doing it the right way. We're gonna it's totally clean.
You know how many buttons I have to hit when I do the podcast myself?
Ken has to push a lot of buttons.
I have to use like 5 computers at once.
It's very complex. It's very complicated for him. Please,
It was like that guy from The Matrix.
please be nice. So we record the show live on Wednesdays, 10 p.m. Eastern, 7 p.m. Pacific. We'll have one next week, which will be the 17th. We probably won't have one on the 24th, which is obviously Christmas Eve, and then New Year's Eve. I don't know. We may have to do one like on Tuesday or something like that. Like,
Yeah, I don't think we're going to do a countdown during the podcast.
Eve. No.
Podcast went long. Oh, Happy New Year, everybody.
Yeah, we're definitely not going to do that. No. So we'll figure out. We'll have definitely at least one more between now and the end of the year, probably 2 more between the end of the year. And, of course, then after that, we have to get into CES. So the next time it would be at fucking Las Vegas. Ugh, that's a horrible place.
Oh, but don't worry, we're going to be there a day early this year.
Yeah, fantastic. So anyway, if you want to watch us record the show live, you can do so at pcper.com/live. And if you want to subscribe to a little email list that we only use to send out notifications when we are going live for podcasts, for special events, for game streams, for interviews that we have with prizes to give away, go to pcper.com/subscribe, fill out your name, give us your email address, and then 10, 15 minutes, maybe an hour before we send you little email reminders that says, hey, we're going to go live, as this logo says right here. We're going to go PC per live. And then we'll be doing this very thing, and you'll be watching us. So, sign up for that if you can. Let's go ahead and jump into the articles and stuff from this week, because we did have quite a few to talk about. We'll run through them at a slightly accelerated pace.
Brisk.
For a reason. This is because we have a lot of them. Maury wrote a review of the Asus Maximus 7 Impact motherboard. There's a lot of words. Maximus 7 Impact motherboard for a product that looks like this. It is a mini ITX ROG motherboard using the Z97 chipset, right? So this is your Intel Haswell refresh parts. You can tell quickly by glancing at this exquisite motherboard here. Yes, I know I've gone full screen. Thank you. That we have Z97 socket. You've got 2 DIMM slots, 1 full-size PCI Express, and then all kinds of cool things. You've got your SATA ports. You got this MPCIe combo card here. Up here, you have your kind of like a riser card for all the power delivery. In here's a better shot of it. You've got your 10K Japanese-made black metallic caps, Blackwing chokes. That's a cool name. We always need new good brands for our chokes on here. The MPCIe sound card there, or I'm sorry, the MPCIe combo card. Then you have the Sonic Sound Stage, which is kind of like an audio riser card on there as well. And then here's a little view of it from there. There's a whole lot of stuff on this board, and even like look at the back panel. This is a Razer card here that has an LED postcode. It's got your this is the USB link or the USB
BIOS flashback.
BIOS flashback. Yeah, your power and reset buttons, like all there.
Oh man, remember when they used to ship those on full size motherboards? The little Asus used to ship the little daughter card that you'd plug in.
Yeah, they did do that, and it got. I think like our GPU testbed 1 or 2 motherboards ago had that.
Yeah,
and the only place the LED. It was on a quad board that supported quad SLI, and it didn't have room for a bunch of stuff. The problem was if you had 4 video cards installed in it, you couldn't install the daughter card. But this doesn't have this problem. It's part of the backplate. You still got 4 USB 3.0 ports, Gigabit Ethernet, PS2. DisplayPort HDMI. There's a lot of really, really nice stuff on this board, and surprisingly, look at that. I mean, like that's a long feature list.
That's a lot of stuff.
It's a lot of stuff.
I like how the stuff seemingly climbs the invisible walls around it. Like it has to be in this footprint.
Yes.
So you could just have stuff climbing up the side. Like here's all
get the power delivery, the audio.
Yeah.
They should put that vertical M.2 slot on there.
They should have.
Yeah, I bet I wonder if there's an issue with Z height on some of those boards. Well, I mean, not if you're using a discrete card, but Mori obviously does his normal teardown and destruction of this motherboard, going into all the features and stuff there. You can see here it is like the audio riser and the MPCIe combo card here installed or removed. You can get an idea. You can have those in there or not. 4 SATA ports, plenty.
Yeah,
probably for
what that is,
a mini ITX case. This is mini ITX, and obviously when you get into small spaces, you're going to run into cramped areas like this. This is where the DIMM slots meet the PCI Express kind of retention mechanism as well.
Put your RAM in first and then your video card, I guess.
Yeah, as with most mini ITX builds, there tends to be an order you need to follow for these things to go well. And
it's kind of like a Chinese lockbox.
It is. Yeah.
It's a puzzle box.
Yeah. CPU cooler fit. I've got to look at these pictures in Maury's review. These are classic.
Yeah, that's what I was waiting for.
All right. Okay. Now you can see here, stuff does get a little cramped. You've got this video card with the GPU reactor on the back. You got this just enormous heatsink and fan, and then you've got your PCIe combo card and audio riser card.
No wasted space.
But it does look like nothing is touching anything that it
doesn't look like it. Yeah.
It barely misses everywhere.
Now, I'm not sure this would fit in any mini ITX case that you're using necessarily.
Probably not.
Maybe. I mean, I guess technically you could put a mini ITX case or motherboard in a full-size ATX case.
Well, you could if you remove that second fan, I think you could get away with it. But you'd be so cramped.
But everything seems to fit. Everything seems to work, and that's pretty good. And I think this motherboard is still one of my. I like this. They just include like a little pack of stickers that allows you put like HDD1 on one side of a SATA cable and then on the other side of the SATA cable. It's just like a really simple, easy.
That is cool.
It's not necessarily like maybe the most professional looking thing because you get these stickers with color coded things on them, but I think they're incredibly handy to have. You've got your Wi-Fi, you've got your wireless, obviously, you got Bluetooth, 802.11 AC. There's
2x2? Looks like.
Yes. Yep.
Wait. There's 3.
There's 2.
I see 2 connectors.
Oh, sorry. Looked like 3.
They have 3 on their desktop boards, like the full-size ones. But
okay.
Still, 2x2 AC is nothing to sneeze at.
Yep.
Wait, scroll up.
Okay, I'm scrolling.
See, it's like an Escher painting. There's 3 ends to the cable, and then the other end is 2 ends.
Yeah,
Scroll
Ryan,
up one more.
scroll down a little. No,
Yeah,
down.
there you go. M.2.
Look at that.
That's how they do it. It's in the other side of that combo card. That's pretty cool.
Oh, hey.
So it runs along the graphics card.
Somehow I think that would run into the heatsink that he was using.
I don't think so.
No.
No, really?
Look
at how close.
There, see?
Yeah, but that
card's going into the picture. It's going into the Z direction.
Now I'm really impressed with that.
Yeah,
that's pretty clever.
That's pretty awesome.
Yeah, they do a good job there. Obviously, Maury goes through all the included applications, the UEFI, some benchmarking, integrated device testing, overclocking. All that stuff is there. It's an ROG board. There's a lot of connectivity and features and performance you'll find in this board. $230. Actually, fairly, I think, inexpensive for what you're... I don't want to say inexpensive. I would say less than I would have expected it to be.
Given the features, yeah.
Given the features, right? Because you always do this thing where the thinnest, lightest laptops cost the most.
Sure.
And in this day and age, the smallest, most compact, most highly designed and engineered motherboards tend to cost the most. And Mini ITX is kind of fitting that bill right now.
But it kind of seems, I don't know, it kind of counters itself, right? Because if you're after so many features, you're probably not that worried about trying to squeeze it into such, like you probably would maybe add a second video card at some point, which you can't do with that, right?
It's a niche market.
Yeah,
like you need to want all of the stuff
in
and also in a very small space.
Yeah,
right. Whereas, because you could get away doing a micro ATX system that gives the board more space. You can have support for 2 video cards.
Yep.
Your cases are going to be bigger, but not necessarily substantially bigger.
Right. Really, only a few more inches bigger if you don't go crazy.
Yeah, I mean, we've seen big Mini ITX cases. We've seen small micro ATX cases. Right. So there's definitely the weight there in both directions. So. Got the gold award for Mori. Weaknesses, you know, some Intel NIC issue, just higher CPU utilization. But we're talking single digit consumption anyway, and then price. It is an expensive board, especially for a Z97 board. But again, I think if you look at the combination of everything, it's pretty neat, and it's probably pretty unique in the grand scheme of things.
Surprising. Usually the Intel NICs are like on the low end for CPU utilization, but
that is the Asus Maximus 7 Impact, and we'll have another Asus motherboard we'll talk about in a little bit with Josh that has an equally kind of non-specific name that has anything to do with the product itself. So where did I go here? Let's talk about Sebastian. Made his first appearance.
Can we talk about Sebastian?
We can talk about Sebastian. Made his first appearance on the podcast last week.
Yeah, that was pretty cool.
Yeah.
All 6 inches.
Josh, what was your approval rating of Sebastian? He's probably not going to listen to this.
First half could have improved a little bit just because he was talking into the top of a microphone that you need to talk to the side. So it was some nice echoing going on. And then once we figured that out, smoothed right out.
All right.
He did so much better.
Okay, fantastic. He did post another review on the website this week as well. This time of the NZXT H440 Razer edition case. It's not a brand new case. We've seen it before. But this time it has some extra touches from Razer, as in it's green and it has their logo on it.
Yep.
That's definitely one of the ways you can tell it's from Razer. It's got this green LED around the power light. The USB 3.0 ports are green instead of blue.
I think that's cool.
It's what do you call that on a car? You've got the
ground effects.
Ground effects.
Sorry,
yeah, there you go.
Was that what that was?
No, ground effects
are the plastic
crap.
Yeah.
What was that? I don't know. Just neon.
Neon pimp lights.
Yeah.
Ricer lights.
Ricer lights. Yeah.
Something.
The kind of the one, I guess, defining feature of this case is the front. If you look at the front here, right, it's got the Razer logo in the middle. No optical bays.
Okay.
No 5 1/4 inch bays at all.
Yeah.
And I think it makes the case look much different. It makes it very clean.
Is that a door?
No.
So you just
I don't think so.
No optical base for you.
Correct.
Oh, okay.
No optical drives, no slim drives, nothing out the side.
Yeah.
None of that. You got this big window on the side panel, and then if you look inside, you'll see what they did instead of having those optical drive bays. You just got 3.5 inch drive bays all the way down.
How many?
I think it was 8. I guess we can look here.
That doesn't satisfy Allyn.
1, 2, 3.
No, 8 does satisfy.
7, 8. I think you might have room for down. Yeah.
There's more room, but that's fine. Well, if you're doing water cooling, you'd want someplace to put like some
noise dampening material on the doors. Yeah. I like this. I wonder if there's actually a reason for this angled cutout instead of like a square cutout. It looks cool.
It looks like they're trying to go around.
Well, they wanted to put the fan controller there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So they want to go
put the fan controller there.
So they gave you as much space as they could.
Plus, you can mount 2.5 inch drives down here on the bottom. This bay holds the power supply, and it has like a window here with the Razer logo on it as well.
Pretty
kind
cool.
of self-compartmentalized little deal there.
So this isn't a new chassis design.
No, not really. This is just kind of like tweaks that they made
to the H440.
Green USB ports, their logos, lighting effects, things like that. But it still looks like a nice case. Yeah, you can see the cutout there, plenty big for CPU dropouts and stuff.
Is there lighting for the inside? Or is it
looks like just from the outside. So here it is. He's got a GTX card installed. The green is not a perfect match, as you would expect. Razer green probably doesn't exactly match GeForce green.
Still, it's
branding and all that. But it's pretty close. But just look at that. Look at that lights.
I don't know, man. I kind of would have preferred that they put something integrated like to light the inside, because that's what a lot of people do.
They do have these lights on the back.
Yeah,
nice
right.
touch.
It's still the H440 has had that with a white light since it was out. But it's a nice little touch there. So did get a silver war from Sebastian. Good styling. 4 quiet rifle bearing fans included. Side intake. Massive hard drive support. Slightly lower level of fit than expected at the price, and it's about $20 or $30 more than the standard H440 if you're going to go with that Razer edition. It's $150.
That rifle bearing thing, it must be a licensing thing, because that should just be every fan. Like, because that came out years and years ago. It's been a while. It's been like probably 10 years when those things were introduced. And it was a big deal back then, and then like you still see ball bearing fans and stuff, and it's just like, what are you doing?
Is it just a cost issue, maybe?
I think it's a licensing thing. I think somebody has a patent.
Invented it and just licenses it out for,
because those are pretty much the quietest. Like the bearing basically makes no noise, just a hydrodynamic bearing. It's just oil.
You know what else makes no noise? SSDs.
That's true.
So you drop them, or they blue screen or something, and you yell at them, right, Josh?
Yeah.
Yes, I like to adjust multiple settings at once on my SSD and cause it not to boot.
Don't do that anymore. In other news, however, the not so surprising release of the Samsung 850 EVO,
the very not surprising release,
occurred this week.
Yes,
and
we were hoping it would be sooner.
Yeah,
but it has happened.
All right. So what are we looking at here? This is 850 EVO. 850 being VNAND.
Correct.
EVO being SLC cache.
And TLC bulk storage.
So is that better than ANAND?
Well, he's not there anymore.
It's VNAND. It's further down the alphabet, so I'm going to go with yeah.
Yeah. Much higher letter.
So what's different about the 850 EVO
now? Compared to what?
I don't know, 850.
See, it's all like your point of reference, right?
Or the 840 EVO.
So
like those are the two ones you got to compare it to, because one has the word 850 in it.
Yep.
One has the word EVO in it.
Right.
So now you have one that has both of those words.
And the other ones had Pro in there. Right.
Yeah, but they're not even in my discussion anymore because they don't have an 850 Pro.
What?
Wait, they do.
Yeah.
That's the only one we have. We don't have a plain 850, sorry.
That's correct.
Yeah.
They don't have a plain one anymore. The plain one in the past was just TLC memory, no SLC cache. That was the original 840.
Gotcha.
Right?
Alrighty.
So anything that's an 840 series is on 2D planar NAND. Anything that's an 850 series is on this new VNAND, this new 3D NAND. This NAND is much faster, especially in the 850 Pro, which was MLC, right? In the EVO, it does the same trick that the 840 EVO did, which is where you have a certain amount of SLC cache, and then all of the bulk storage, the main amount of storage on the drive is all triple level cell.
Okay.
So the catch there is that you can only write to TLC flash at such a speed, right? It's more limited than MLC. You have to write at a slower pace. You have to make sure the voltages are at the right level so you can actually read the stuff back later, and that sort of thing. So as far as speed, the raw speed of like this VNAND compared to the planar NAND for TLC, it wasn't that much of a jump in that aspect of it, right? So once the drive burns through its cache, say you wrote multiple gigabytes all in a row to this thing at full speed, and now you're stuck having to write at the TLC speed, which is very rare for people, but it is possible if you're trying to do a image copy onto it, something full speed, right? So the speed of the slowest capacity model, the 120, is around 150, 160 meg per second.
Okay.
Which is just a little bit, like maybe 10 or 15% faster than what the 840 EVO was when you were in that same cache mode, or the non-cached mode. However, the cached performance is like crazy fast compared to like even faster than the 850 Pro, because 850 Pro was running MLC. This is that same flash only running, basically a 1 or a 0, where instead the MLC has 4 states, right?
Yep.
So there's even less checking and other stuff that has to happen there when you go to write in that mode. So performance-wise, pretty darn good. Like when you talk about tests that have random writes mixed in, like our iometer testing, as long as you were writing to that in the cached mode, it was very, very fast, and even faster than the 850 Pro.
When it writes it to cache, it then will write it to TLC at its own pace?
It does it in the background, but it does it not so much at its own pace. It does it the instant the drive becomes idle. It instantly starts dumping that cache.
Just making sure I was still understanding how that works.
And it goes at the TLC speed, like full speed, basically, as long as it's idle, as long as the drive is not being
as long as it's not impacting performance of something else.
Yeah, and it's also very smart about it. Like if you're writing to the drive, like it can empty it. If you're writing to it at a slower rate than what, say, the TLC write speed is, it'll go to SLC first, but then it gets to TLC like behind your back. You know, it's essentially going to TLC.
Just like my third life.
True that.
Sure. So basically, pretty good. There were some differences in. There's a little bit of a reduction in power consumption specifically for the models lower than the 1 terabyte model. Because they have changed, Samsung has changed their controller design. It used to be triple core for everything.
Right.
And then they have recently made a drop to dual core because they basically figured out their firmware was optimized enough where the third core was just kind of wasting power. They could just more efficiently just max out 2 cores.
Less important for desktop users than mobile users, but
there are a lot of people there are a lot of people that put these in laptops, and Samsung is also going to be launching probably early next year. They hinted already in their initial press release that they're going to introduce, M.2 and mSATA and stuff like that, which they already did with the 840 Evo, right?
I mean, if you look at this picture, it's practically an M.2 form factor already.
It's smaller.
This 120 gig, I mean, looking at these PCBs inside, these are 2.5-inch SSD drive cages.
Right.
Right. And if you
really
look at this one on the left, you've got the controller and 1 flash chip, and that's it, right? Because there's the back, and it's empty.
Yeah, that flash chip is what's called an ODP, which is an octal die package, which is 8 dies within the package.
What's this? This is
that's just DRAM.
Cache.
Memory for the controller.
It's not so much cache as for that. It's really just like keeps metadata and just like data about the about the flash as it's running, basically. Yeah, so I mean 8 dies, and for TLC type flash, even though the VNAND stuff. The third 2-layer VNAND we were saying is only 86 gigabit dies instead of 128 gigabit.
Right.
Well, this, you have to add 50% back because it's in TLC mode. Right? So same die size, same number of channels there, but you get 50% extra capacity out of it.
Okay.
Right? Just because of how you're writing to it. So that's what brings you back up to 128 gigabit. And I thought it was kind of convenient that number ends up back to a nice round 128, multiple of 2 kind of a thing. It's almost as if Samsung is, when they were thinking through, okay, how big do we want these dies to be? Well, we're probably going to sell more of this TLC stuff than we're going to sell of the MLC stuff. So we might as well focus it around, instead of TLC being the oddball, uneven multiple of 2 thing.
Which it was in the 840.
Which it was in the 840.
Right.
They flipped it around the other way this time. So I really do think that they intend for the 850 Evo to just be like their main seller as far as what people are going to buy.
Where are we at in pricing?
All right, so if you go all the way to the 1 terabyte model, it starts out at an even 50 cents a gig. Now, we don't really have like market pricing yet.
That's not
it's not
super cheap.
Correct. It's not. Now, I will say like the 840 Evo launched at kind of sort of similar numbers. But we see it much cheaper, right? Okay. Once it started volume shipping and all that stuff. Samsung has never really tended to have their MSRP numbers like low. Right? Okay. It's just how their numbers tend to work. But if this is consistent with what we've seen in previous Samsung SSD launches, chances are the hot selling item is going to be significantly cheaper than the introductory MSRP.
So for now, still the 850 Evo is significantly less expensive. Still,
which one?
840 Evo.
Correct.
Still significantly less expensive. Do we expect the 840 Evo to be phased out?
Yeah.
In favor of this?
Yeah, I believe so. And as that happens, I suspect that these prices will, at a minimum, we'll see, say 6 months down the road, you probably see cost per gig of these 850 Evos
about the same,
match what the 840 Evos used to be, right?
Gotcha.
Yeah. I just think that there's more of a possibility of even lower pricing just based on what Samsung can get out of this and the fact that they don't have to use this really small. It is a more complicated procedure to create this stuff, but they're using, in some respects, they're using older fab technology, right? Because their feature size is not super tiny anymore. They're just because they're going vertical.
Okay.
Look at the link I sent you. They're on,
in what?
They're for pre-order on Newegg right now.
Where'd you send it to me?
Really?
On the chat thing.
The hip chat.
Yeah.
I think they're on pre-order for
actually
Amazon as well because it's going to show up December 26th, according to them.
Yep. Newegg says the 22nd. They have all but they have the 250 listed as one of the release date on it. So it looks like
it says actually the 250 has a release date of 12/10.
Oh, mine doesn't show that. That's weird.
Today. Oh my gosh. No,
so those prices are running higher than the MSRPs.
Not surprising to me, but
yeah.
So yeah,
I think they're anticipating.
So the 1 terabyte is $469 on Amazon. So
actually,
that's about what we see 840 Evos at, isn't it?
Yeah, I think right now the 840. Well, yes, but I have seen it as low as $369.
Well, so there you go. That's $30 less than the MSRP. What's like the 500?
$249.
Yeah,
that's also less than the MSRP that's here. So
you saved $20, 7%.
So I mean that is good, right off the bat, even in pre-order status.
Yeah, and these are showing release on December 26th, so just missing the holiday time frame.
And that does fall within what Samsung stated, which was quote later this month,
right
in December. So yeah, not bad. I wish it would have been a little earlier, to catch all the holiday.
I'm sure they do as well.
Yeah, I really bet. And nobody has stated this, but I mean, we can probably take a pretty good guess that they kind of pushed this launch back on account of all the firmware fix stuff from the 840 Evo. Probably smart too, just to kind of let that stuff fade away a little bit and be a fixed thing for a short period of time. Because it is a fixed thing. Like actually, just right at the beginning of this week, I read something off of one of the 840 Evos that had stuff on them. Full speed.
So how long had it been?
Like it's pushing a month now.
Okay.
So getting to that point where we
losing performance.
Yeah, getting to the point where we would have seen something. Man, probably.
What kind of word are we coming to? All right, so go check out that review. It's on PCPro.com. We'll have Allyn update that story with links over to Amazon for pre-orders as well.
Yep.
Let's. We're gonna talk about a couple more things we got here. Like how about AMD Catalyst Omega? Catalyst Omega, otherwise known as
a big thing.
I mean, it kind of is, yeah. So it was an interesting thing. About 2 weeks ago, AMD came to us and said, "Hey, we're doing something different for our next driver release." And I was like, "Cool! Like, what do you mean?" So instead of just releasing it as 14.12, they're creating this brand, right? They're calling it a special edition driver, Catalyst Omega, and the basic idea is that they have lots of new features, lots of performance updates, lots of bug fixes that they have all addressed and kind of compiled into one driver. And the goal is to kind of do this annually, once a year.
Is this still just in this sequence of all their other drivers? It's just like a big one?
Yes. What it is? Yes. So, and to be honest with you, they were a little bit vague about how this would all work kind of moving forward, right? So they were very specific about things like that they have done with this driver, that they did a higher degree of validation, a higher degree of testing, of test cases than they had done with any driver previously. For example, they claim to have done 441,000 automated test runs, and over 11,000 manual test runs. Now, what exactly that means, I'm not sure.
Some kind of testing.
Does it mean a benchmark? Does it mean we played a video and it didn't crash, so that counts as a test run? Like some of that stuff is probably in there.
Probably every possible thing they could think to throw at it.
Yeah. So now they're still planning on releasing other drivers throughout the year. That was one of the comments in the story was that, well, if they're only going to do this annually, what's going to happen between now and next December?
Okay.
They're still going to have other driver updates that will be released for, new games that come out that they need hot fixes for, specific bug fixes in games or other applications and things like that. There will still be a normal cadence.
All the regular stuff you saw before.
Right?
Basically,
but the insinuation is that this level of validation will not occur on all those successive drivers.
Sure.
Right. So that's kind of where you're at in terms of why it is a special edition, why that name is there.
So there's more validation, but then it sounds like there's a bigger chunk of features being added.
So they added some stuff to it. They added like AMD Fluid Motion Video, which is, smooth Blu-ray playback with lower power APUs, high quality frame rate conversion, interpolates frames using GPU compute, things like that.
Oh, wait a minute. Is this kind of like what the smart TVs do and stuff like that?
Yes, that's better video quality than most high-end TVs.
Huh.
Is what the claim is.
So if you're playing back something that's 24 frames per second, it's actually doing like the
interpolation between to make it back up.
Can you turn that off? Because some people hate that.
I'm absolutely sure you can.
You cannot enable it
because you could also just not enable it.
Oh, okay. So it's a thing you have to turn on.
Yeah.
I get it. All right.
They have other ones like video upscaling. Like they have what they're calling Ultra HD like experience. So taking 1080p videos and making them
really high quality
for 4K, right? So 4K monitors are super cheap now. I think we saw like one of the Samsungs on sale for like $400 or $380.
I saw one for $350 around Black Friday.
Yeah. So like a 60 hertz 4K panel you can get for $350.
So that's good. It's doing high quality up conversion.
So it's trying to do up conversion with that, right? So your mileage is going to vary in terms of what specific videos and how they react to some of that. Sometimes it's going to look really good.
Using and stuff.
Yep.
And like,
yep.
It's kind of complicated.
It's a combination of the fluid motion video, detail enhancement, and adaptive upscaling. So there's that in there. They have frame pacing improvements for dual graphics, so for APUs and low-end discrete GPUs.
Okay.
Frame pacing on Radeon, like high-end Radeon stuff, maintains the same. They didn't change anything
because that's already been fixed pretty much.
Yeah. And then they are adding a new feature called Virtual Super Resolution.
Ooh, that sounds
VSR.
That sounds like
which actually rhymes with DSR. VD.
Yeah.
Actually, not VD.
No.
So when NVIDIA launched Maxwell, the GM204 parts, they introduced DSR, which was the ability to say if you have a 1080p screen, but you've got a lot of GPU horsepower you're not using, render a game at 4K or some other resolution, some weird resolutions maybe. Render it at 4K, but then downsample it back down into 1080p, so that you are still, you're still being shown a 1080p image, right? Because that's what your resolution.
But the whole engine is running at 4K.
But the whole engine's running at 4K, and you get, in some cases, drastically improved image quality because of it. So AMD is doing a similar thing. They're calling it Virtual Super Resolution. It basically works identically.
Okay.
You enable it in the driver, and now Windows and games see these resolutions that don't really exist.
Okay.
Right, and then you tell the game to render it, and then it downsamples back
to your screen.
Now, there's a little bit more restriction in this, in that, for example, only the Radeon R9 285, not their highest end parts, but the 285, their most recent one, based on Tonga GPU, is the only one that can support 4K resolution.
Oh, okay.
Okay.
The only one because of advanced scalers in the Tonga GPU.
Correct.
Or so they say.
That's what they say. So I don't think that they would not put 4K support on the 290 and 290X if they could. Right? Because that's where you would think people would want it the most. Right? Yeah. You've got a 290X, you're playing a game that doesn't take much compute capability for it, you utilize it. But now with those cards, you're limited to 32 by 1800.
Okay. So I mean, it's still higher.
It's still higher. I don't know
it's not a nice even multiple of 4.
Yeah, I don't know what multiple that is, but
it doesn't really matter.
Like 1.5.
You're right. It also doesn't kind of matter unless the game doesn't handle things that aren't multiples of it well,
The game would be fine, probably. It's just the scaler. Like if you're scaling, scaling tends to look cleaner if it's an even multiple. But
where did I see that? I wrote that, didn't I? They claim that their VSR has a 0% performance penalty. It's happening completely in scalar hardware. They're implementing a polyphase multi-tap solution. And I have a link in the story if you're interested in what exactly that means, because I'm not exactly sure myself.
Type of a scaler.
Meanwhile,
so do you get the impression that the R9 285 has features that still have not been released yet? They just hide. They're kind of like Bonaire.
Yeah. I think it's. I don't know if maybe this is the final exposure of all the features in there, but yeah, I do feel like. I mean, the scaler is better. I don't know.
They didn't say anything about this when the 285 launched.
Here's the question, right? Was AMD going to do VSR before DSR happened, right? And if the answer is no, which I think is likely,
then why is that scaler in there?
Then why is that scaler in there?
Right.
So I would tend to say that they just said, well, we've got die space, scaler.
Just put a scaler there.
Right? And maybe they were going to do VSR the whole time.
Or maybe they have another feature in mind.
That uses that scaler.
Maybe some of that other stuff uses that scaler.
But the 4K up conversion works with APUs.
True.
Right? So...
but maybe to not get the performance hit, or maybe to have enough memory space. Maybe it's just like some other resource limit that they hit. Because you're trying to run a game and do you're trying to run a game at 4K and
this driver adds support for the Alienware graphics amplifier. It adds support for FreeSync. Don't get super excited because that just means the driver supports it in order that they can start the validation process of, monitors and stuff.
So they can send you a panel and you can test it.
They could absolutely send me a panel today and I'd be able to use it.
Yeah.
They won't. At this point, I think that's pretty obvious.
I bet we'll see one at CES.
But next month, right?
They say we'll see them at CES. God, I'm so excited. Like, it's actually, like, the longer it goes on, the less I care.
It was last CES where they were saying...
It was last CES
we're already doing that.
Yeah. And the longer it waits, like, the more it becomes just this...
running joke.
Yeah, like this running gag of, no.
I mean, it's still not like you still can't buy a G-Sync panel very easily.
You cannot. You're correct.
They're usually sold out.
Yes, you're right.
They're usually sold out.
I'm not sure have we figured out if that's because of just not enough supply?
I think it is.
It's probably. I mean,
you don't think just demand is outstripping it? Like this is the excuse?
I think demand is.
That's what not enough supply means.
That's what not enough supply means. Yeah.
Well, but I mean, yeah, it's not like there's just a flat out lack of them. I think there's just that everybody has decided now is the time to upgrade that 10-year-old.
I think they have no problem selling as many as they can make.
Yeah,
probably not.
It is the holiday season.
That's true too.
I mean, it got me.
It's the last month of the year.
It got me to
can't
get
hold
off
back.
You can't. No, got to get that tax credit or something. In terms of performance, this is an interesting debate because they really are. They're talking more about the performance improvements over time, not in this specific driver.
Okay.
Not from 1411 to 1412,
over
which is
time
what a
from
mega
what
is.
then?
Like from last year to now.
Well, then of course there's going to be improvements.
Well, not necessarily, of course.
Well, probably.
You don't necessarily. So here's the thing. I think most people that build PCs don't understand that their performance will actually be better the next year if you just continue to update software.
Okay.
Right? And so that's the point they're trying to make. I think it's a little bit disingenuous because it's pushed as part of this Catalyst Omega story.
So you think that...
But it's not specific to Omega. Like 1411, like I didn't do any performance testing of this driver specifically, but several websites did.
Yeah.
And several of them saw some places were a little bit faster and some places were a little bit slower.
Compared to the...
1411.
Oh, okay.
Right? The most recent driver before this, right?
Right.
Now, if you compare it to 1312...
then probably everything.
Then everything should be faster.
Yeah.
Right? Because then you'll have frame pacing improvements and you'll have all kinds of stuff in there.
Yep.
Both on the APU side and on the GPU side. So
they're just trying to use this as a more awareness for people should be updating their drivers thing.
Plus, there's tons of bug fixes. Some of these are weird. So they, we give them the AMD Red Team a bunch of crap, and I think deservedly so for a lot of stuff that it does. But they claim that hey, look, this is one of the reasons we have the AMD Red Team is we went to them, we said, hey, what are the top 10 things that you want us to change or fix on our driver? And these are the top 10 lists that they fixed all of them.
Okay.
Install issues with the intermittent crashes or black screen after install. Catalyst Control Center issues with Mantle 64 DLL error pops up during install. Like, to me,
look at the one in the very middle.
What's that? Displays that go in sleep mode?
No. AHCI chipset drivers sometimes cause the system to crash on boot up.
Sound familiar?
It's ironic.
Yeah.
That happened to Josh.
Did you update to Catalyst?
Tonight. I updated to the Omega AHCI drivers.
Oh.
Well, if you're running an APU, then that would be bundled into Catalyst, right? So there may be updated AHCI drivers in there.
Josh, you tried also enabling Rapid?
Yeah, I think it was more Rapid than the AHCI ones.
So
Rapid does really low-level stuff to your storage.
These fixes here are good. Sometimes Google Chrome crashing when watching videos, displays going to sleep that never wake up, intermittent crashing.
All just like issues that had existed for long enough to where people had to report it for them to finally fix it? Because these sound like...
I agree. Like, what should happen is like, hey, you know what? You should have fixed these, and this shouldn't be special.
Those don't sound like things that you would have to ask people what bothers them the most in order to fix.
I would agree.
Those are just flat out bugs.
I would agree.
Like bad ones.
Yeah.
It seems, I don't know.
State of decay can intermittently extrude beyond their boundaries or be corrupted. HDMI audio stays disabled when connected TV is disabled and then re-enabled.
Huh.
Right. Some odd things like that. So they're all fixed, and they obviously said there's a lot more than that that were addressed. These were the top 10 lists that they got to.
I mean, I'm glad that they're taking that kind of, at least the end result is the stuff gets fixed, right?
They updated the Gaming Evolved client. You can now stream Mantle games. You can apparently like measure performance in Mantle, like maybe get like a little frame rate counter.
So for the VSR stuff, like I know that with the DSR stuff, if you took a screen capture, it was the 1080p. And it was before, like it was, or wasn't it?
No, we had to use.
It was before the filter, right? It was
before the
That's
filter.
what it was.
Right.
So if you did a screenshot, it was 4K then?
No.
No?
Yes.
Was it?
Yeah. It had to be.
I don't remember.
The whole game is rendering at 4K or whatever, right?
That's what's happening here too.
Okay.
If you take a screenshot of VSR when you're running at 4K, it will give you a 4K screen. Yeah, so you can't take screenshots and then compare them.
So how does all the shadow play type stuff work then? Does that give you the 1080p like recording, or is it now a 4K recording?
Well, you're talking about on NVIDIA's side, on GeForce Experience.
But there's an equivalent for...
Shadow play is like a recording.
Right.
Right. So you're talking about if you're both using DSR and recording?
Yeah.
I don't know. I mean, it's using the GPU to compress the video, so my guess is NVIDIA could intelligently tell it which frame to
grab
use.
The output.
Yeah, like grab it later or something. I don't know. I didn't really test that.
I should probably try that out.
They did that. You know, AMD, they added some other stuff, OpenCL 2.0 as well. The main takeaway from it is that they want to just say, hey, we're taking this seriously. Yeah. We recognize that we have been pooped on many times about the quality of our drivers. We're trying to fix that. Here's the first step in it. I'm very curious to see how this gets received over the next couple of weeks.
Yeah, I mean, the quality of AMD drivers is the reason that I'm primarily use NVIDIA myself.
Yeah, and
like, that's what did it. The hardware never had
and that was a long time ago.
It was.
Right? And so the chances are that it's much better now.
Yeah, it is.
And NVIDIA's drivers are not bug-free.
You never hear about how good drivers are. Like, oh man, my drivers are so stable.
That's the thing, right? But when you do...
People only talk about the negatives.
But when there are negatives, people are very vocal, and like that's enough to keep anybody that had a bad experience away from them, because they hear I hear one more thing, and it immediately throws that switch again in my mind, like, no, I'm not going to personally buy an AMD thing. That's just me.
I am worried that, like... So I asked NVIDIA, I said, well, how many test cases do you guys do on your drivers? I'm curious. Like, let's get
some kind of suite
let's start
or something
this
that they
pissing
just
match.
do.
Let's see what you guys each do.
Right.
And they said, we don't have the exact number, and we don't really want to get involved in that fight, because all that will happen is the next time they will go 5,000 more, and then we will have to go 5,000 more.
What number
but did you ask
of
them?
things?
But did you ask them? Is it more in tree fitty?
No, I did not ask. It was more in tree fitty.
I mean, it could be one test that NVIDIA runs, but it could be all-inclusive of every possible thing the card can do.
Well, I mean...
test everything, right? So
test cases, right, is the thing there. So NVIDIA has been very proud of their drivers for a very long time. It has been definitely something they can beat their chest about. And AMD has recognized that, finally, and they're trying to do something about it.
That's good.
Right? I think they... What I'm worried about is, like, over the next 11 months, shit's just gonna happen in the same way again, and we're gonna have to wait 12 months for another
features?
For another instance for them to use 400 automated test cases. Maybe in every other driver they use 2,000 automated test cases. I have no idea.
I would imagine they would use some smaller subset of stuff. Maybe not as much manual stuff. Because the automatic stuff is you just start something and you walk away, right? So they
in theory.
Yeah, I would hope.
I mean, you would hope that would be that case. I worry that the goodwill they're getting with something launching like Catalyst Omega would degrade before 11 or 12 months passes. So regardless, if you have an AMD card or an APU and you want to try out these new features or see what they do to your system, just download them.
What they do to your system.
And you can give them a shot.
What they do to Josh's system?
Josh, we only have Josh to blame for Josh's system, I think.
Yeah.
So, all right, let's talk about another story that went up. This one actually is from a guest writer who we met yesterday.
Yep.
Jim, now I'm going to screw up the pronunciation of his last name. Tano? You think
I think that's what it was.
Is that what he said?
I think so.
I think that's what it was. I apologize, Jim, if that's incorrect. He was driving through the area and happened to stop by and wanted me to see the office, went to lunch with them. And literally a couple of weeks ago, he had submitted a story to us for publication, building and configuring the ultimate Plex media server. Now, I have to admit, never used Plex in my life.
Neither did I.
Okay. Ken has used Plex.
It's awesome.
Quite a bit. Jim has obviously used Plex quite a bit. And in this story, if you're not familiar with Plex, it is a media streaming software. It is a media kind of management. What would you call it, Ken? How would you
library.
It's a library.
It's the iTunes to Winamp's music playing, right? You just open up a bunch of MP3s in Winamp and go sort through them, whereas iTunes builds a library. That's sort of a shift.
Okay. So it attempts to build a library from all of your multimedia files.
You can point at a directory of movie files, and it will automatically go through all the files and grab all the metadata and all of the movie posters and all of that and automatically catalog it, which is a really cool thing.
You have servers and clients, though. Like you create a Plex server, and you have Plex clients that can then access all that media. You can even do things that I learned yesterday, like you can share content across users if you share keys, right? And it effectively will act just as if you were on the same network. That is all everybody's content.
Except when you play something, it's actually just pulling.
It's just streaming it, right? Yep. Yeah, and it does like upload stream checks and everything like that. And there's Android apps. I know. Is there an iOS app too?
Yeah,
iOS. There's
smart TV apps.
Oh, okay.
Just about any platform you can think of.
Yeah,
it doesn't do live TV. It's only media files.
Right, and there's no kind of. It's just meant to look at what you already have. Like there's no tuner plugin stuff. There's no. Doesn't do any of that. It's just you have a library. Throw this at it. This is the 10-foot interface to.
So Jim wrote up this story for us that looks at the Plex media server, like what it is, a short history of it. You can see here how it all connects, like what it attempts to collect your media, your friends' media, and online channels. I don't know what the online channels necessarily are.
There's like a Giant Bomb channel and like a Daily Show channel, so you can just access streaming media like
stuff that would be available. It's just kind of an easier fashion. Okay, and then it allows you to watch on your PC, mobile devices, smart TV, streaming devices. He goes through what Plex Media Server is, Plex Home Theater, the mobile clients, but then he actually gets into what's Plex Pass. This is the paid premium tier. What do you actually? Because Plex is free, unless you want to do this.
There are a couple of things I forget. One is it allows you to stream. It allows you to do an offline sync of your media to like the iOS and Android apps.
Okay.
So if you're getting on a plane or something, you can just download the version. There's a couple other things.
Cloud-based automatic camera upload function for mobile devices. Sync select media to cloud providers for faster mobile streaming. So if your upload is bad, you could maybe create an account on S3 or Dropbox, maybe. I don't know which ones it supports, and then it'll let you sync it up there so that you could stream it faster. Multi-user option, integrated movie trailers. Ooh. So he walks through how do you build a Plex media server, selections of, do you want a dedicated server? Do you want a NAS device? If you're going to build your own, what kind of processor, memory, graphics card do you need? Media storage, things like that.
I like the detail it goes into, like, about this much hardware can handle like 2 1080p streams, about this much hardware can handle, that's good. That's the kind of thing that you want to know if you're about to build one of those without having to go through all the heartache of testing it first, right?
It's really cool that you can run the Plex Media Server app on a few different brand NASes, like the Synology and the QNAP NASes. You can run it natively on there, where you already have your media, so you don't have to have another PC.
You don't have another computer on it. That's pretty
really cool.
But you're limited on like transcoding stuff.
Yeah.
So
he goes through building a Plex client, like what you need for that. If you're going to build like one at each kind of TV individually, if you don't have a pre-built solution. He talks about Intel NUC, what operating systems this will run on. Windows and Linux and Mac, like.
Anything
pretty much
browser,
universal
really.
Support. Yeah,
there's a browser thing that they have added to it that basically just means that anything with a modern browser that can reach it, you can use it.
He goes through how do you manage your media, creating files and folders,
which you don't have to do.
Oh,
which is the cool thing about Plex,
right?
Yeah,
maybe this makes it a little bit easier.
He's showing he's showing the ideal naming. In his opinion, on like what it lock on to exactly what those things were without errors, right?
Like just the auto scan for Plex probably got about 90% of my library, which is like a terabyte of media.
Okay.
Yeah.
So if you wanted to go back and get the rest, renaming stuff would be convenient.
What do? You just rename it and then like rescan or something?
Yeah.
Yeah.
It rescans. I think it watches for changes and will like rescan every hour regardless because it's just a quick directory update.
Yeah,
that does
just like what's different.
Yeah.
he goes through metadata and a bunch of stuff. It's a really, really good.
It's very in depth.
It's a very in depth story. So even if you use Plex, maybe you're missing some of the features or capabilities of it. If you've never used Plex and you're like me, and you're like, wow, okay, maybe this is something I need to just try.
Yeah.
Set up a Plex server here. We've got more than enough upstream to saturate.
That's
you
true.
know, people would have watching stuff here.
I think that might be a good project we should do.
Yeah, I think it'd be neat just to see. Like, again, I don't know. I am of the type of person. I watch more live TV because I'm watching sports and stuff.
Yep. You do the Slingbox thing.
Yeah, so I use Slingbox a lot for that, or ESPN3. It's really, really good story. Thanks to Jim for submitting that for us, and already getting pretty good feedback on the story. I think the official Plex account retweeted that story today as well. So, okay, let's talk with Josh.
Do you have to? Because I mean, it's 9 o'clock already.
It's 11 o'clock for me.
Yeah, let's just cut it off right now.
All right, we'll see you later, guys.
Bye.
Crossblade Ranger is a motherboard.
I want to be a Crossblade Ranger, safe at home and away from danger.
I had a feeling this is where it was going to go.
How long have you been waiting to say that?
Years.
Yep.
So look at this is an FM2 Plus motherboard. So this is an APU board, if you will.
That is correct. It supports the latest AMD APUs, so namely the top end being the A10-7850K, which I tested with this board. Now, Asus has had a long history of Republic of Gamer boards, and they have always had something for the AMD market. In this case, they had the Crosshair.
That's a cool mouse pad.
Throughout the years. What's that?
No, he said that was a cool mouse pad.
It was a cool mouse pad that came with
this
it.
one.
Yeah, that's a free mouse pad.
It's awesome.
So they have a history of ROG on the AMD side, except for APUs. Mm-hmm. They had, some decent boards for FM1, FM2, and FM2 Plus, but it wasn't until this summer that we finally got to see the hole filled in their lineup for the FM2 Plus socket infrastructure. So the Crossblade Ranger, which is named rather strangely.
Yeah, I agree.
I don't necessarily agree with, but you know what? I'm not in charge of marketing there.
Nope.
It's a really neat board. It's based around the A88X chipset, which all the other top-end ones are. It's just packed with features. Of course, everybody is going about upgraded audio. They've done it in such a way that it kind of outstrips every other audio implementation on a motherboard that I have tested to date, and that goes across multiple lines, Intel lines, MSI, Gigabyte, others. And so far, theirs is the smoothest. They have the best software support for their audio that I've been able to mess with. One thing that I thought was really, really cool was with these other boards that talk about having, amplifying the front audio. It didn't always work as well as you hope. Yeah, the sound was fairly clean, but it didn't always get as loud as perhaps you wanted. Well, with this, you can actually change the amount of amplification going to the front audio port. So what's kind of cool about this is you plug in a headphone. Yes. It kind of stops and thinks about it and says, hey, your headphones are less than, have an impedance less than 65 ohms. And so we're going to do the lowest amount of amplification on this so you don't blow out your eardrums. But this one is, if you're at that level and it's just not loud enough for you, you can go down and select a higher level of amplification.
Like extreme?
Like what?
Like extreme
amplification.
Extreme. Yeah, as you can see right there. And apparently I'm going deaf because extreme wasn't that bad.
It happens. It's okay.
Yeah. So this for an FM2 Plus board, we've seen quite a few of the enthusiast ones from like MSI, their A88X G45 game board was a 4+2 power phase array. The Gigabyte G1 Sniper A88X was also a 4+2 power phase array. They go the extra mile on this one, and it's the full 6+2. Now, that's kind of low as compared to a lot of the AM3 Plus, which are 8+2. But you got to think, they're not going to be supporting 220 watt TDP chips in the FM2 Plus socket. In fact, the highest that they have now is 100 watt, and that's the Richland. Caveris are 95 watt TDP. I've heard rumors that Carrizo is going to be 65 watts max.
Is that
the desktop.
Is that one of the Muppets?
No, that's Chorizo.
It's the guy that hangs out with Gonzo. Gonzo and Carrizo.
Gotcha.
It's got the Intel Gigabit controller, so we don't see any of the killer NIC that a lot of the other boards have, or just the plain Realtek Gigi. It's got a ton of buttons on there. It's got the auto overclock. Going back to the sound, they got a stinking button on the bottom of the board that you can press and go through the different sound environments that they've kind of programmed into the board. It's kind of odd because I don't know many people who would probably use that, or
you'd have to have an open air test bed, but then been very concerned about your noise profiles.
Yeah.
Yes.
Anyway,
and let me shock this board because I've been running around in my socks with the button that's directly on the board.
I want to hear some more rock beats in my music. Oh man, blue screen.
Shock test. The build quality, of course, is good. Design, really nice. I like the way the slots are set up, in that you can plug in two double-sized cooling graphics cards, and you're not going to cover up a whole lot that's important. Because I know that if you do a lot of multi-GPU, sometimes they put that slot closer to the bottom one, and you put that in, and you're bending over all the wires and the cables that attach to your front audio and your USB and all that. You don't have to deal with that with this one. Interestingly enough, this comes with 2 PCI slots. Who uses those?
Yeah. Okay. Well,
they had room.
Yeah, they just had to do it. Plus, they didn't have enough PCIe lanes to really populate anything more.
Having blank empty PCB might be embarrassing.
Exactly.
Yeah. So how much does this board cost?
It's $159 retail.
Okay.
And so far, I haven't seen it below that really too much, except on a couple of little sales now and then. Again, it's an ROG board. It's just almost as fully featured as the one Mori did, except, of course, it doesn't have the M.2. Kind of a bummer. But what can you do there? So $159 will get you the lowest end ROG board that you can find. Funky name and all, but it's a good board. I mean, it overclocked well. The Kaveri is not a great overclocking chip, period. You can get to about 4.6 on air. I think I saw JJ doing some Twitter tests on this where he's showing pictures, and he was at 4.6, 4.7 gigahertz with a pretty high-end water cooling setup.
Sure.
And you're just not going to get anything better than that. It was fairly efficient at load as compared to the others. It was just a really nice board. Ran cool, had no problems. The UEFI features are great. They've got the BIOS flashback like you have on that other board, which is a nice feature if you ever screw up a flash, which has never happened. Never.
You should have a switch like that for dead hard drives that won't boot.
That would be really nice as well.
Yeah.
Go backwards. And don't worry about it.
And
but read more. I go into excruciating detail about a lot of the things. Now, let me tell you, there's a lot of stuff on the sport, so you kind of need to read about it. And I gave it the Gold Award.
The Gold Award.
The Gold Award.
There can be only one.
Yeah, it could have a couple of more features on there and be, more competitive in price. But otherwise, there's really nothing to complain about this board.
Very cool. All right, we only have a handful of news items really to get to today, and they're relatively quick. For example, did you guys know they still made joysticks? Did you know that? Look at that. Look how awesome that looks. This is the Speedlink Phantom Hawk.
The hell?
I don't know. It's under $100. I thought Microsoft Sidewinder brand was still dominating this field.
Yeah.
No?
Microsoft doesn't even make those anymore, do they?
I honestly don't know the answer.
I've got a 1999.
I imagine I'll find one in my closet.
Sidewinder force feedback sitting over there.
Yeah, now what a great controller that was, right?
Yeah.
Serial was it? Did you have the USB one?
Yeah, they had a USB.
All their force feedback was USB.
Oh, it all was?
Way back there somewhere. I've got one of the original Sidewinder 3Ds that you could either do it in digital or analog mode with the game port.
After tomorrow is going to be my clean out the office at my house day. And Ken is coming over in the morning and bringing a camera, and we're going to do this on video and probably share it on YouTube of some kind. I imagine I will have all kinds of picks of the week to go through afterwards.
Maybe.
With it.
They might be a little old.
Yeah. I'm also going to have bins and bins full of old, mostly broken hardware, and I'm going to figure out what to do.
We're going to make some kind of art out of...
We're going to make some art. We're going to melt it down into a giant ball.
And we're going to arc weld with some power supplies.
Giant ball of cancer.
Because I'm sure there's power supplies in that room.
There are some 1200 watt...
Sweet.
PC power and cooling ones that sound like jet planes.
Yes.
So there's that. Other news, Samsung HAMR HDD storage. Seagate, I'm sorry. Seagate.
Yes.
Seagate is still hammering away at improved hard drive storage density. They're looking to reach aerial densities of 850 or 900 gigabit per square inch.
Yep. What?
So, or the coming year, they're going to hit 1 terabit per square inch with shingled. Shingles are bad.
Well, the shingled stuff is not going to be the kind of thing.
Did you know the shingles virus is already in you? It is. Did you have chickenpox?
Does that mean I can store more?
Yeah. But
okay.
That guy,
but only sequentially.
Who was it that told me about shingles in that commercial? It was really painful. Who was that guy? Like ex-football player? Josh, you would know this.
Shingles? Yeah, they hurt. Not that I've had them myself.
Never mind.
I can't remember which football player was complaining about it.
So the shingling on hard drives.
Oh, right. Yes, hard drives.
Means that you have to write them like how you used to write CDRs. Remember?
Is the visual, if the visualization I'm getting in my mind is correct, where there's a slight overlap as you go down the layers?
You have to write in
you have to go in one direction.
Yeah, in one direction, and you can't just go back and stick something in the middle. Right? Everything has to be added until the disk is full, and then when it's full, you have to take all that data, move it somewhere else, whatever, and if you want them to like start from the beginning, so to speak. So that's not a thing that's just going to be a consumer. You know, you're not just going to buy a shingle
because you can't read write.
Yeah.
Randomly to it, you can't move things. Okay,
right? You need special software that only writes to that drive sequentially and kind of, emulates what a CDR used to do.
So is this like what you would see in those hard drives used for cold storage?
That's what that would be, archival storage, that kind of thing. But that's not really what's going on here.
Oh, okay.
Like part of this news post is the fact that HAMR is kind of closer to being a thing.
Sorry.
Not that HAMR. Not. Yeah. So the idea with that is it's not perpendicular recording. It's kind of heat assisted. I mean, that's what the HA is.
Oh, okay.
Right. So there is a laser integrated with the head.
That's lasers.
And it actually warms up. You can actually write at a higher density if you locally warm up that spot of the disk before you try to magnetize it.
Huh. Okay.
You can write to a smaller space, basically. Right. Oh, Christmas.
Sorry, Christmas tree. I'm
Christmas.
so sorry.
Terry Bradshaw, by the way.
Terry Bradshaw. Yes, thank you.
Yes. So
this is the problem with the 60-second delay on the stream is that I don't get the chat room answers. Anyway, go ahead.
So that's the deal with this is just that you can get a much higher density, planar density with this technology. It's just a lot more complicated, right? You have to somehow incorporate a laser into the write head, which is a very lightweight thing.
Lasers,
you know, and so I mean, you could potentially get much more. I think with this kind of a thing, the reason it's not catching on partially is that they're adding a lot of weight to the head, right? So your seek times are going to go way down. You can't be flinging a relatively heavy write head that's already hovering on a cushion of air.
Centripetal force, it's fine.
Yeah. Anyway, so this will eventually be a thing. It's kind of sounding less vaporware-ish now, but it's still not out. Right?
Do you guys remember the stellar launch of the new SimCity?
That was
just 2 years ago. Was that 2 years ago?
No, it was way more recent than that.
Really?
You said stellar.
I
think you were
do
being
you remember the
sarcastic.
stellar launch of SimCity?
Yeah, it wasn't that stellar.
Well, it wasn't. So, having nothing to do with that, EA is releasing, I think for the entire month of December, I don't know exactly when it is, but they do that on the house stuff. If you have Origin installed, every once in a while they just give out free games. This week or this month or whatever it is SimCity 2000. So if you want to play a good SimCity game that's not broken and doesn't require online play, online connectivity, then you can go get SimCity 2000 for the 100% off sale, as Scott writes.
Did they ever patch offline mode into the new SimCity?
I think they did.
I think so.
I think they did.
What a bad game.
I think that this is the DOSBox version as well, which is...
Was it good or bad?
That was that game that was like, the whole thing where, we can't do offline mode, and then some people just hacked the binary, and, look, you have
You're talking about
mode.
the new SimCity right now, yes.
This is the old one?
That's correct. This is SimCity 2000. This is like the one that came out in
2000?
like 1999 or something.
Yeah, 99.
98, something like that.
I remember playing that on what was it?
I'm sorry, SimCity 2000 is just a few months away from its 20th birthday, so it would have come out in 2014, 15. I'm sorry.
What are you talking about?
1995. Take 20 years away from the number I just said. So it's free. If you want it, go get it.
Even if you don't want it, just get it.
Yeah, just get it. So if you want it later, you can get it. Right? It's one of those things. Just make sure it's in your library. We'll wind up our news stories with the ECS with a new mini PC, the LIVA.
Because I'm pretty sure that they're going to come out with the B LIVA and they'll have a catchy tune. I'm a believer.
No, I could see why that'd be really catchy.
Man, you should go for marketing.
Yeah,
I should.
So this one is it's got like a fancier looking design to it. It has a faster 2.25 dual core CPU Bay Trail. It has been doubled from maximum memory of 2 gigabytes to 4 gigabytes, and it now has Windows 7 support, but only when using an mSATA SSD. So
okay.
What does that? So if you're using PCIe, it requires.
It has to take lanes.
No, it's eMMC.
Oh.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
Ah.
Eh?
I get it.
But this ran Windows 8 before, right?
Windows 8 might be able to handle that better.
Oh, maybe Windows 7 doesn't handle eMMC.
I mean, because Windows 7 tablets with eMMC weren't really a thing.
Maybe.
Right?
Yeah, I mean, you could probably do it. It's probably just not supported.
Yeah, I'm sure you can.
Clearly, it's not supported. It says it's not supported.
But, I mean, it probably works.
4 gigs of RAM is a lot for a beta.
It still offers Windows 8.1 support along with beta Linux driver support as before. One more USB 2.0 than its predecessor. Same 32 gig or 64 gig eMMC storage on board. Gigabit Ethernet and 802.11n. And Sebastian did write up this news post. He also did the review of the original ECS LIVA PC. So slightly faster CPU. Maybe it makes a difference. Maybe it doesn't. It's got a little bit snazzier design.
Is nice.
What is that?
RAM bump is nice.
Going from 2 to 4. Yeah, that should help.
4 gigs RAM is a lot for a Bay Trail system, which is good.
It is. All right, let's get into our hardware and software picks of the week as I open up my links here from the people who do everything late. So I have to drag all this stuff over. Jeez, Jeremy. Unbelievable.
I know. He's so late.
Oh, my gosh. So here's mine. Actually, I have it on the desk here. We just got this in a couple of days ago. This is, speaking of micro ATX motherboards versus mini ATX motherboards.
Yeah, there you go.
So this is a micro ATX board. This is the Gigabyte Z97MX Gaming 5. We got in for a system build we are hopefully doing here before Christmas.
Look at the amount of stuff on the back, coming out of the back of that thing.
Yeah, there's... Yeah, are you talking about back here?
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean... Yeah, that's a lot of stuff.
You've
got DVI, VGA, 2 PS2 ports, 4 USB 3, 4 USB 2.0 HDMI, and Gigabit Ethernet, and then gold-plated sound.
It's funny how things are going back to the 2
PS2 ports.
Yeah, they're not going.
They're
back
not really going back.
Well, they kind of went to 1 for a while.
Yeah.
They're not going to 2. That one just has.
So this motherboard, for example, you can pick up for $129 on Amazon right now.
That's pretty cheap.
Right. It has 3 PCI Express slots on it. Obviously, you can use 2 of them. Actually, one of them is by 16. I'm just looking at the pins. One of them is by 8. One of them is by 4. Right. So
you can do
you can do Crossfire and SLI.
Yep.
On it. It has an M.2 10 gigabit per second port, so it's using PCI Express for that as well,
That's
right?
Cool.
It supports 42, 60, and 80 millimeter lengths. 4 DIMM slots. You have eSATA support on here, in addition to 6 SATA ports, front panel USB 3. You've got amp up audio. You can see kind of, maybe you can't really see on the video, but the kind of the PCB division for the audio channel.
The isolated PCB.
Yeah, thank you. And it's got a decent amount of features. It's the Gaming 5. It's not their highest end board. I think there's a Gaming 7 and a Gaming 9. I don't know if in micro ATX form, but this is something you could put in a slightly bigger case than that mini ITX motherboard.
Yep.
But you do get support for multi GPU on there, as well as just a little bit more space to work. Right.
Yeah.
So
they're not trying to cram everything.
I think we're going to maybe put this in that Corsair 240. That's one of our favorite micro ATX cases, and do another little build out of it. It's kind of interesting, actually. If you look at the back, you can see based on these pinouts on the back, 16, 8, and 4 lanes of PCI Express. So
I see a 1 in there too.
Yeah, there's a 1.
Yes. Yeah. Hey, good call. Good on you. Look at you.
So small you missed it.
Look at me.
That's the Z97 MX Gaming 5. It does have a pretty decent.
Did Maury send it to you? Does it have bent pins?
No, it's Maury free. It was sent directly from Gigabyte, and there's only 3 left in stock. Oh my God, more on the way though, according to Amazon. So that's my pick. Give that a look if you're looking for that's fairly low cost, $229.
That's really cheap.
Josh.
Okay, so there's this new thing out. It's called Bitcoin, and they've got these special little machines that are Bitcoin miners. They're special ASICs. They used to cost $1,200. Now you can get it for $599.
$599.
So at the way that Bitcoin's going, it's only going to take you about.
Did you send me to a Newegg link for a case?
No. Why did it show up there?
I think that's a better pick.
Could very well be. No, I'm sitting at the shell shocker of the Bitcrane T-110S1 ultra silent Bitcoin mining system.
Bitcrane?
Bitcrane.
Bitcrane. There you go. Oh, now it's back up to $998. It was $598 earlier.
No, it's $598 right now too.
It's still $598.
Did they ever do Litecoin ASICs? That just totally dropped off the face of the earth of that stuff.
Ultra silent.
Well,
designed. I like this picture. Designed.
Look, you can put it in your bedroom.
It's for the bedroom.
Oh yeah.
Look at how big it is compared to the bed too. In that picture,
you can sleep on that.
It's like this will be your room heater. It's like no, it's objects in the picture might be smaller than.
This is how you know shark has been jumped. Right? Is like
look at these things that used to be very expensive.
Yeah.
Jeez.
No longer are.
So that because does that have like
look at this Photoshop job, by the way. This is exactly.
Hey, that looks like a Sebastian Peak photo.
That's right. You're right. We got to get him one of these so we can take some better pictures for him.
Put this on your coffee table.
Rackless multiple miner scaling system. Just undo that screw.
And it just stacks.
Look at that. Look at the RPM as well.
Because many
another really bad Photoshop.
I don't know if high RPMs is a good thing for the fan.
I have no idea what's going on. They don't talk about the componentry.
20 pounds.
Wow.
Well, I mean, it's quiet.
It's got sand in the bottom.
Its hash rate is 1 terahashes per second.
What does a?
I don't know if that's fast anymore.
Yeah, that's the
I
thing.
don't think that's fast.
Like, how does that compare to like a GPU? Like
let's see. Happy customer.
It's way faster than a GPU.
Oh, it is.
Yeah.
Okay.
But
there's other
these things
stuff.
have been out for so long that it just keeps getting more difficult.
Yeah, because this is Bitcoin, like the original, like the thing that was ASIC'd out. It's mine, son. This could just I want to know what this is. This is a video card. Like clearly, this is a CPU water cooler.
It's not a video card.
It's not a video card. You think that's just like a bunch of ASICs?
It's probably a PCIe card, like
with a bunch of ASICs on it.
Yeah.
Awesome. Well, hey, a hell of a choice. A hell of a choice, Josh.
Yeah. Thanks.
Okay, Allyn.
So have you guys seen this Elite Dangerous thing with the 3 projectors and the crazy joystick setup? But
we just talked about a joystick.
Well, yeah, that's true. Well, Saytech makes joysticks as well. So if you scroll down to the video towards the bottom of this page there, and you go to like 40 seconds in, you'll see what's sitting on his desk.
Is it a broken SSD?
No, it's not a broken SSD. But pause it there and like check that crap out. Like, he's got 3 more displays built into a little console, and joysticks, and a keyboard, 2 joysticks. Like,
this is what rich people do.
The other, I guess Saytech also makes the throttle control, which is what's on the left.
There we go.
So he has the throttle control, the joystick, and if you listen like through that video and listen to
his Logitech keyboard even has like a little thing on the display there.
And he's using that display for...
What are we playing here?
Elite Dangerous, which can be mapped out to multiple displays like that.
It's kind of like, what's that space sim that was crowdfunded with a bunch of money?
The Last Starfighter.
No. But it's kind of like that. It's like a...
Evacuator Defense.
Star Citizen.
There you go.
It's basically Star Citizen.
Close, Josh. Close.
That's
Smoke-free Nebula.
But the difference is this is out and you can play it like in beta form, I guess, at least, right? Like you can. I don't know. It's kind of pricey, but I don't think this guy cared.
He'd be rich and have lots of free time.
Yeah, because he's got like 3 projectors in the ceiling overhead going on 2-3 screens, and he has like a head tracking position thing, like a little
track IR.
Think he's married already?
Thing. Say again?
Think this guy's married already?
Probably not. If he was, then he's divorced.
I mean,
now.
he's basically put a line in the sand, right? If he's not,
that's pretty much it. Yeah.
Right.
But if you
into space sims,
if you play through that video with like audio on at some point, like just on your own,
like Supernova.
He has also voice commands programmed into this thing. So like if he wants to look forward but see what's on his left panel, like
he's got head-mounted display.
Well, he has that too. He has that too. But if you watch the video through, he can say just like left, and it'll show him the left screen on the forward screen. It'll actually shift the displays over, and like
turn your damn head.
Well, he could do that too.
He does that too, and it changes.
It changes like as he moves his head, like the view changes and everything. It's pretty insane of a setup there.
Huh.
It's impressive to watch.
Too much time on his hand.
You know, when I set up that 6-panel Eyefinity system, it was for my job.
It's true. Well, this guy probably is going to be really good at Elite Dangerous.
The new Catalyst Omega driver does support 24 display Eyefinity.
I think we should do it. We have 24 displays here at least. I think we should do it.
And they don't have to be all the same resolution or anything.
That's also sweet. We could just have like a wall.
How many video cards? I guess you need MST hubs.
You need 4 video cards that support 6 displays each.
Yeah. Then you don't even need MST hubs.
Yeah.
There'd be a whole crap load of wiring.
Let's do it.
Yeah.
Yeah, let's do it. So that's going to be it for this week as we dive into discussions about how that's not going to happen. Thank you guys for joining us. Again, we record the show on Wednesday nights at 10 p.m. Eastern, 7 p.m. Pacific at pcper.com/live. If you want to sign up at pcper.com/subscribe, you can do so. We will let you know when we're about to stream live. We've done some game streams. We gave away a ton of hardware last month, guys, like a ton of hardware, like ROG Swifts, Acer 4K monitors with G-Sync. We gave away video cards and shields and game keys and a whole bunch of stuff.
Yep.
And then obviously next week we'll have a regular week of work and podcasts and all that stuff. We'll be there for that. And then after that we start playing for the holidays and for the Consumer Electronics Show in fabulous, sunny, mostly cold Las Vegas.
Yeah.
And who knows what the hell's going to happen at the show this year. I really don't know. So thank you guys. pcper.com/podcast is where you can subscribe to the show, find our back episodes, find links to our videos of the show as well at youtube.com/pcper. We'd appreciate that as well. And of course, all the stories we talked about and news items talked about are at pcper.com. I think that should go without saying. So we will see you next week with another episode of the wonderful PC Perspective podcast. I'm Ryan Shrout.
I'm Josh Walrath.
And I'm Alan Malentano.
Bye.
Bye.